Hello everyone, this is going to be a quick video showing us how to set up the VDEV rig that's provided in our course den to start rendering our 3D models and 3D materials that we apply to them through the VDEV rig. So as soon as you get the VDEV rig from the OneDrive link or the Google Drive link that's provided in your course den, you will now download a folder that is called a VDEV rig. And so once you do, you will be able to see this folder in your downloads on your computer. Now you'll notice something about this folder is that it has a zipper going through it left to right, and this means that it is compressed. Now we can't work inside compressed folders. What we have to do is we have to extract everything out. So for us, for the very beginning, if we're just setting this up, we're going to right click this folder and we're going to find the option that says extract all. And whenever you click that, it's going to ask you for a directory or a space in the computer that it wants to extract this content into. So for me, I'm going to select my desktop, change that directory right there, and that way I can have the VDEV rig easily accessible on my desktop where that way I know where to grab it. So when all of that's done, I'm going to hit extract, and it is going to move all of the contents out from this compressed folder onto my desktop where I can see it in the very corner right there. But if I double click on it, you will notice that this is no longer in a compressed folder, so it does not have the zipper going left to right. Now, as we open up the VDEV rig folder, you'll see 4 subfolders and a workspace script file. We're not going to worry about that, but let's go ahead and navigate to scenes, and let's launch the VDEV rig itself. This is where you'll be able to find the Maya file for the VDEV rig specifically. Now, once it opens up, this is its whole new workspace. The VDEV rig functions as if it was a studio, right? A photo studio for us to, whenever we make 3D objects, characters, materials, and things like that, we've got a space that we can get renders from and talk about as we ray trace them and do everything like that. And of course, make modifications when necessary. So this is a space for evaluation for all the work that we do. Now, once we open up, something important to note is this VDEV rig comes with its own camera inside the workspace. And of course, to navigate through cameras, we can go to Panels, Perspective, and now we'll notice a Render Cam Shape camera right there inside our viewport settings. So if we click on that, we will now be able to see the VDEV rig through its camera. And this is how we're going to be taking most of its photos. Now with RenderMan installed, what you can do is you can run a render just to see how everything is looking. We have a teapot right here. That's the default teapot that it comes with. And as we run it through, we'll notice a couple of things wrong. A, your textures may show up pink, and B, the lighting may look very, very weird and synthetic. So what we've got to do to get this started off is we've got to set our project. And we can do that by going to the top left where it says File and scroll down to Set Project. Now, once we do that, it's going to ask you for a folder called VDEV rig. This is exactly why we extracted the VDEV rig folder out. So I'm going to navigate to my desktop and I'm going to find the VDEV rig folder that I had extracted from my downloads, and I'm going to hit set. And with all that said and done, nothing visually changes, but everything is good to go, because now it's going to find that VDEV folder. It's going to say, okay, now I understand where my source images are, what the textures need to look like for everything inside the VDEV rig. It's going to pull these guys out and wire them correctly, and we should be good to go. So now that we've gotten the VDEV rig set up, I'm going to go ahead and go to File, Save Scene As, and I'm going to replace this same vdevrig.ma file that's in our VDEV rig folder subdirectory with another Maya ASCII version, just to ensure that all of these changes are being up to date. Now this is a one and done thing, so once you do this, if you ever need to relaunch the VDEV rig, now that it's saved, you have no issue. You don't have to go through the set project process again, which is really nice. So let's talk about getting our Maya projects into the VDEV rig. The very first thing that we've got to do is we've got to get rid of our teapot. So I'm going to go to the top right where it says channel box / layer editor, and down here in my channel options, I can change what is visible in my VDEV rig and what is not. And that's with this, this chart in the very bottom right that says all of these visibility toggles with different materials or different objects that are showing inside the viewport right now. So I want to get rid of this teapot, and the best way to do that is I need to go look for these guys right here that say teapot with, let's say, no legs or with legs, and I can notice that there is a V for visible right there at the very left, and these are checkboxes, so if I click on them, I can toggle them on and off. And I'm just going to notice the three teapot settings right here, including the lid and the legs, and I'm going to toggle them off or invisible by clicking on those V's. And now I don't see them anymore, which is really nice. This makes it perfect for me to start referencing in my own 3D objects, so let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to go to File, and I'm going to open up the reference editor. The reference editor is right there, and since this is a blank document, I have nothing in here so far, so I need to create a reference. I can click on this icon right here that says create a reference, or I can go to File, create reference. There's also a hotkey Control R to do so. So once you do this, what you can do is you can navigate to wherever you have your .ma files saved. I'm going to go hunt for mine because mine does not appear to be inside this VDEV folder, but I have saved mine in my own directory. But if you have models that you want to pull in, then make sure that you have those ready for you as well. So let's say if I want to pull in this, let's get this knight right there, then now we've got this 3D model and all of its stuff brought in from that particular folder. I can also go back to the reference editor and I can add in multiple things. So let's grab another one. Let's grab car 2. And there we go. So now I've got two objects in here, and in the reference editor I can see that both of them are checked on or activated, so that way I can see them. However, I can uncheck these and you'll note that they become visible or invisible, which is nice. So for me, I'm going to uncheck the first one that I dropped in, and I'm going to show the next one that I brought in here. So with this, let's go ahead and grab a render of this guy. Let's say if we've modeled this or if we've textured this or done something of the sort, then I'm just going to position this model to where it looks a little bit centered inside my viewport. So that way I can see a nice angle of this. And we'll just go ahead and grab a preview render up here. Now something that may help, before I grab the preview render, I'm going to go to my render settings, which is to RenderMan render settings right there. And I'm going to change this image size preset from HD 540 to HD 1080. This is essentially increasing the resolution of the preview renders that I'm going to be grabbing out, or any renders that I'm going to be grabbing out with RenderMan. So for me in this VDEV rig, if I want to look for high detail, I'm going to change my presets from 540 to 1080 or maybe something higher if that's the case. I'm going to hit close. I'm going to hit Control S to save. You can also just go to File Save if you want to make sure all of these changes are in place. And let's just see what we've done so far. So we've imported our object. I'm going to hit the Preview Render button. And with that, RenderMan's going to launch its ITS window right here. And it should take just a few moments, but ray trace this 3D model so that way we can see everything that's going on. This part of the process might take a little bit longer. And while it does, I can talk to you guys just a little bit about this ITS window right here. So this is where we can see kind of the viewport or whichever camera that's selected with your VDEV rig or with your Maya project. There's a couple of really interesting buttons up here that we can mess around with. Number one is probably my favorite right here, denoise. This icon right here turns on denoising, and what that does is it uses language model learning to kind of smooth out the very noisy pixelation that you may get with very quick or very low quality renders. So for example, right now, if we look closely, it's very, very grungy with all of this noise that we've got going on as it's collecting data from its ray tracing. But if we click on this, it somewhat smooths that out so that way we can see it a little bit better, which is nice. And once this render starts opening up, right, it's going to go through a couple of passes. These blue squares that you'll see are buckets, and those buckets are each processing and ray tracing different, forms of data. And it's going to process through in the very top left corner of the VDEV rig's ITS window. You'll be able to see the current process of progression that these textures are going at. So right now it's 4% done, but let's say once it's completed, I can always save this image by going to Export File. And once that happens, I can name this render, whatever render name I want, and this will be saved as a .png image. If it says something else like EXR, that's fine, but just a note, for certain assignments, you may want to export these as PNGs. Just make sure that you read your assignment name and submission details for that. And then you'll hit save. You can save this in any space that you want it to be in. Usually it defaults to VDEV rig scenes. So you'll notice that everything that's kind of output out from this is going to be saved within that folder called VDEV rig. So as you are working on your assets, it may benefit you to continue to add in more references, and as you make changes to them, you can always update those references as well, which is very, very nifty. So set up your character or set up your object, position them into an appealing way, usually a 3/4 view, grab your preview render, and that will get you going for most of the assignments. Of course, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out, but always I'm happy to help out. Hopefully this video helped kind of talk about setting up this VDEV rig. One last thing, it's important to note, the whole process in which you extract this and set the project and save it, that's something that is a one and done thing that you do at the very beginning when you establish it. You don't have to do it every time that you go back to the VDEV rig. So after this, if I hit Control-S to save and launch it again, it will just bring me back. Everything will be hooked up and ready to go. I should also note that when you start adding textures to your models, let's say if you have them in already, all you've got to do, if you have a car model that just now got textures, be sure to hit reload right here in the top right corner, and that grabs the most recent saved version of that file from wherever it is on your computer, and we'll load it in with all of those textures in place. So that's a nice easy way to update your models that are already referenced in without having to go back and delete old ones and re-import new ones and things like that. So make sure you go back and find the most up-to-date model by hitting reload in your reference editor. Again, if you have any questions, please reach out and let me know. Hopefully this helps. I'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.